Okay, so as we take a look at this, one thing I do is down at the bottom, I want to create a new layer. I'm just going to, and what I do is I fill it with a color like blue. And the reason why is once you're done, you can actually go and delete it. But I like to see if your selections. So I can see around your fish head, there's a little white here that we want to remove. So we would go into the layer mask and we would actually remove that. You know, so and it also helps me to figure out. You can see that your connections are not there, especially with the cans and so forth. So um, there's a little more work to be done, and there's some white. There's a lot of white around the edges that we want to clean up. You know, especially like if we look at the cap. You know, so around this yellow and this, so you have to fine tune it. And the only way you get to see it as much is if you change the color to a blue background or something like that, and it makes it easier to find those situations where you're going to work with. Now, one of the things that a couple of things to look at. I'm not a big fan of how the perspective of the TV is compared to where the body is, perspective wise, because it looks like the perspective of the TV is going back to the left, and so then you would have to set up your eyes that way as well, or you have to change the TV so it's more facing the front, and you could experiment by going up to the TV layer and then choosing after you unlock it, but go up here to edit, transform, maybe adjust the perspective, maybe adjust the warp, and see if that would work for that purpose. I also think that you can clean up the edges of the TV. So there's a lot of things that it needs to be cleaned up a little bit, so more of a smoother edge. And what you could do here, I usually will take my polygon lasso tool, and so what I'll do is I'll click, and depending on how you want to do it, I'll just straightly go down, I'll hold down the shift key and click, and then what I want to do is just come around, and then I'll do an edit fill, and I fill it with black. And so what that does is kind of has more of a cleaner edge for that purpose. So it looks like a lot of especially the areas around this here, there's a lot of white. There's some up here you got to go in and clean up. So you got to definitely do a little bit, go in and fine tune it. Now, when you're doing your can and so forth, you really want to make this feel like the fingers is going inside the can itself. But right now, it just makes it looks like on top. So let me think here. So you kind of want to make it feel like it's going into the can. And so what you probably have to do is to the rope copy, you probably have to add a layer mask, and you have to hide the part of the rope that's right here. And so it looks like it feels like it's going inside it. And so it makes it a little more, gives it a little more like it's a connection. And you probably want to do the same thing. Well, this over here is not the same setting. But you definitely want to make it feel like it's part of that. The other thing I might have you do too is I think that where your legs are, I think just because the way hips are, I think you should connect it up here at the top of the fish area like that, and you might have to adjust your rotation accordingly. But again, because I don't know if you put it down here, it doesn't. It's kind of distracting in a sense. I would actually go in and put it up here, and something like that. So some things to work on.